It was a cold December night when Daniel, a 32-year-old security guard, started his shift at the old regional hospital that had recently shut down half of its wings. The hospital had once been alive with patients and doctors, but now most of it was dark, cold, and silent. Only a few operational areas remained open: a basement storage, a lab wing under renovation, and the security control room. Daniel had worked night shifts before, but something about this place always gave him a chill he couldn't explain. The corridors echoed with strange sounds, pipes creaking, distant footsteps that never led to anyone, and the faint sound of something moving behind walls. He told himself it was just the building settling, but deep down, he knew this place wasn't right. That night, Daniel sat in the control room, watching multiple security camera feeds flicker on the old monitor screens. He drank his usual black coffee, scrolling through his phone to stay awake. The time was 2:43 a.m. when one of the monitors suddenly went static. The feed from the East Wing, the abandoned patient ward. He leaned forward, trying to adjust the camera, but the screen froze again, this time showing a faint silhouette standing at the end of the hallway. Daniel blinked. He checked the motion sensors. Nothing. No one should have been there. That part of the hospital was sealed off weeks ago. The figure wasn't moving, just standing perfectly still. Daniel radioed his partner, Steve, who was patrolling the other side of the building. "Steve, you near the East Wing?" Silence. Static. Then Steve's voice came through, whispering, "I'm in the loading bay." "Nowhere near there. Why?" Daniel's heart started racing. He glanced back at the monitor. The figure was gone. He rubbed his eyes, convincing himself it was a glitch, maybe a reflection or shadow. Still, a part of him needed to check. Grabbing his flashlight, he made his way through the silent corridors. The fluorescent lights above flickered weakly, and the hum of electricity filled the air. As he turned a corner toward the East Wing, a sudden gust of cold air brushed against his neck. He stopped. The door to the ward, the one that was supposed to be padlocked, hung slightly open. He shone his flashlight through the gap. The beam illuminated a hallway full of dusty beds and peeling paint. Papers littered the floor, and faint whispers echoed in the distance, like someone talking just out of reach. He called out, "Hello? Security, anyone in here?" The whispers stopped. Silence. Then a loud clang echoed from one of the rooms. He jumped, heart pounding, and moved cautiously toward the sound. Inside the room, a hospital bed was overturned. His flashlight flickered, and for a split second, he saw someone standing in the corner, a pale figure with sunken eyes, wearing what looked like an old patient gown. He froze. When the light steadied, the figure was gone. He stumbled back, shaking, and sprinted toward the door. The moment he stepped out into the hall, the door behind him slammed shut with a deafening bang. Daniel didn't stop until he reached the security office. His breathing was heavy, his hands trembling. He tried to check the camera feed again, but every single monitor showed static. Then slowly, one by one, the feeds started turning back on, except for the East Wing. That screen remained black. Then a faint image appeared. The same figure, standing closer to the camera, head tilted, staring directly at the lens. Daniel unplugged the monitors and ran outside into the freezing night. The next morning, the supervisor reviewed the footage. What they saw made them freeze. The East Wing camera clearly showed Daniel entering the ward, but he never came out. For 6 full minutes, the camera showed no movement. Then the door slowly opened, and Daniel appeared, walking back to the office. Only his expression was blank, and his movements were stiff, almost puppet-like. When they asked Daniel about it later, he said he didn't remember walking back. All he remembered was the whisper that followed him out. "We're still working. We never left." So the next time you're working late, alone in a quiet building, and you hear faint whispers, just remember, some places don't rest even after everyone's gone. And before we continue to the next story, if you're enjoying this chilling tale, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and join our growing family of horror lovers. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Marta had been working the night shift at an old packaging factory for almost 2 years. It was quiet work, repetitive and lonely, but it paid well. Most nights, it was just her and one maintenance guy who worked on the far side of the building. The factory was massive, filled with rows of conveyor belts, flickering fluorescent lights, and the constant low hum of machinery. But lately, strange things had been happening. Missing tools, machines starting by themselves, and voices over the intercom whispering her name when no one was in the control room. She thought it was just her mind playing tricks from exhaustion. But one night, she learned the truth. It started like any other night. She clocked in, checked the conveyor belts, and set up for her shift. Around midnight, she heard something strange, the sound of footsteps above her, on the catwalk. She looked up but saw nothing. She shrugged it off. A few minutes later, the lights in the far corner began flickering violently. She sighed, thinking it was just another power surge. Then came a sound, a man's voice, faint and broken, echoing from the intercom system. "Marta!" She froze. That wasn't possible. Only supervisors had access to the intercom, and she was alone. "Who is this?" She called out, but there was no reply, only static. Trying to shake it off, she walked toward the main control panel to turn the system off. The moment she reached it, the machines behind her suddenly roared to life, belts moving, gears grinding, all without being turned on. The noise was deafening. She slammed the emergency stop, but nothing happened. And then she heard it again, that voice. But this time, it was whispering right behind her ear. "We're still working." She spun around. No one was there. Her heart was pounding so hard she could barely breathe. The air felt thick and freezing cold. She ran toward the main exit. But the factory lights went out completely, plunging her into total darkness. For a moment, all she could hear was the hum of the machines and faint whispers echoing around her, repeating her name over and over. "Marta! Marta!" She pulled out her phone for light, but the battery suddenly died. Then from the darkness, she saw a faint red glow. One of the emergency indicators flickering near the far end of the room. She slowly walked toward it, praying the exit was nearby. But as she passed one of the machines, she saw something that made her blood run cold. Inside the glass compartment of a packaging unit, there was a face, pale, sunken, pressed against the glass from the inside. The eyes were wide open and the mouth was moving silently, as if mouthing her name. Marta screamed and stumbled back, tripping over the floor. The lights flickered back on, and when they did, the machine was empty. She ran for her life, bursting through the exit and into the freezing night air. The maintenance worker found her outside, trembling, pale, and speechless. When she finally managed to speak, all she said was, "There's someone still in there." But when they checked, the entire factory was empty. The control logs showed no activity, and the intercom had been disconnected for over a year. The next day, Marta quit her job and never returned. Later, she learned that years ago, a worker had died in a horrific accident. In that same packaging machine, crushed, when the system malfunctioned during a night shift. Since then, employees had reported strange voices, tools moving by themselves, and machines activating without power. They called it the factory that listens, because sometimes, if you whisper inside, you'll hear your own name whispered back. And remember, if you ever find yourself working late at night, and you feel like someone's watching you, and maybe you're right, maybe you're not alone after all. If these true horror stories kept you on edge tonight, make sure to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next terrifying episode. We have more chilling real-life night shift horror stories coming soon, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. Stay safe, and don't look behind you when you're alone at work tonight.